What if gravity was suddenly cut in half? Our planet's gravitational pull has been its most important characteristic since its formation. It determines how fast a dropped object falls, how high tides form, and whether we can leap over an entire chasm in one go. But what if the laws of physics suddenly changed and gravity dropped to half as much? How would our bodies react if they were suddenly no longer subject to the same gravitational force as before? You'd feel a lot lighter. Your body weight would decrease by half, which means you'd not only feel lighter, but you'd also become significantly more agile. Walking, running, jumping, and playing sports would all be much easier. You could cover twice as much distance with a single jump, and hitting a baseball would require only half as much effort. Even simple actions like picking up your feet while walking or turning over in bed would become much more difficult. And it would take some time for our muscles and bones to get used to the new conditions. But not everything would be fun and games. Oceans would no longer be able to hold back the water. Without gravity, water would no longer form into droplets, but float around as individual molecules. Rain wouldn't fall from the sky, but rather drift away into space. Over billions of years, Earth has accumulated a layer of water 3 times deeper than the Mariana Trench, the deepest point on the planet. Without gravity, this water would simply evaporate and drift into space. The same thing would happen to the atmosphere. Without gravity, it would simply drift away from Earth and our planet would become a lifeless, dry sphere. If such a scenario were to play out in real life, it would mean the end of our planet as we know it. But what if this sudden change didn't affect the outside world, only us? In this case, we'd have to deal with the consequences of our reduced gravity on our own. Our muscles and skeleton would quickly begin to atrophy due to the lack of strain. As a result, we'd become significantly weaker and would need constant physical activity to maintain our level of fitness. Trees would also suffer from a lack of gravity. They use their root systems to absorb large quantities of minerals and water. But without gravity, the vascular system of trees would cease to function, causing them to wilt and eventually die. All the plants on Earth would die. Animals that rely on wings or fins to move through their environment would find themselves in a similar situation. The shape of these limbs is perfectly adapted to the force of gravity on Earth. Without gravity, the bird wings would become useless. Only creatures with legs would be able to move normally. So all animals that live in water or fly through the air would be doomed. But some animals would benefit greatly from a lower gravitational pull. Insects, for example, would be able to fly twice as high and reach enormous sizes. The same goes for us. We could now create flying machines that soar to incredible heights and travel around the world in no time at all. But even that wouldn't be possible anymore because the very laws of physics would have to be changed. A plane would have to be equipped with colossal wings to be able to lift off, and even then it could only hover a few meters above the ground. No longer would it be possible to build multi-story buildings since they would simply fall apart under such conditions. But that doesn't mean we couldn't build anything anymore. Machines and other objects would now be able to perform tasks that were previously impossible. Of course, there are many surprises in store for us in this new world. A soft drink that doesn't fall off a table, but hovers above it. A hammer that falls extremely slowly and allows you to catch it with your bare hand. And incredibly light bricks that make it easy to build multi-story buildings. But that's about where the benefits would end. Everything else would be much more dangerous. Cars would skid along the roads like in a cartoon. Simple kicks could knock people down like bowling pins. And even sitting upright would be quite a challenge. It seems that living on a planet with half the gravity would be more harmful than beneficial. But what if we were able to reduce gravity not on the whole planet, but only in certain places? For example, in hospitals, patients would find it much easier to move around, which would speed up their recovery. Or in schools, children could learn to jump higher and run faster. Perhaps someday in the future, this won't be just a fantasy, but a reality.